What's going on, everyone? I am Double D, and welcome to the Double D Podcast once again. Always your host, Daniel DeForest, and now it is time for the post-race news. So for the second time this year, NASCAR was racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. They name it Echo Park Speedway, but we're not calling that here. We're still calling it Atlanta Motor Speedway. But anyways, Joey Logano started on pole. One of his best tracks, Penske's best track, and they showed that early as they were all 1, 2, 3, 4, including Josh Berry, that's with the Wood Brothers. Mind you, he's running Penske equipment. They were all running 1 through 4, and Logano was leading most of the laps in Stage 1. But then Team Penske's momentum would be halted by a caution for weather, and the race would be delayed for a short period of time. So then the red flag ended, and everybody went back to racing, but there was some drivers that did pit before the green flag did come back out. One of those were Chase Elliott, which we'll talk about him later in this podcast. But, so, green flag came back out, and it was mainly the same Penske cars that were out front, but it was more racy this time as they were wanting stage points. And that's what Austin Cindric did. As he was racing side-by-side with Brad Keselowski, as he was trying to get the stage win, but then another caution came out before the stage end, involving Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Them two, bracket favorites to win the in-season challenge in NASCAR, were both out. And that brought out the caution to end the stage, making Austin Cindric the Stage 1 winner. And as I mentioned earlier, Chase Elliott, he pitted before the stage ended, and he was able to have the lead. And then on lap 69, nice, we had a 22-car pileup right behind Chase Elliott and the leaders, as it would involve Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, William Byron, Kyle Larson, big names that were favored to win the in-season challenge, and big names to be favorites to win the race. And they were all taken out in a big wreck. I'm not going to name all the names because there were so many cars involved. Just go watch it on NASCAR.com if you don't know. But I'm pretty sure everybody, including my in-season bracket, was thrown in the garbage whenever that crash happened. Then later on in Stage 2, a caution would come out for Riley Herbst in the 35 as he would go for a spin. Some people stayed out, most of them pitted. It was pretty much a situation like where if you did the opposite, the other drivers behind you were going to do the opposite of you. So Elliott and Keselowski elected to stay out while the others pitted. And then we went back green, and Reddick and Chase Elliott would race for the stage win, and Reddick would barely win Stage 2. Looks like a photo finish what would possibly happen later that night. So as the racing would restart, you would have pretty much the same drivers that avoided a wreck battling each other. I mean, you had a bunch of big names trying to go for the lead. There was a total of this race entirely 46 lead changes among 13 different drivers. Some of those being Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, and others. And they'd be pretty much trying to get the lead the entire night. And then SVG would go for a spin and bring out the caution once again. The same thing would happen later on in the final stage, but instead it's Justin Haley going for the spin. And some of these drivers weren't really able to recover. They were mainly more towards the back after their spins. They were lucky that they weren't able to make another big one. And then that Haley spin would be the final caution of the entire race, as we would have more than 20 laps of green flag racing. And man, it was racy. You had so many cars going back and forth. The same names I mentioned earlier. And it looked like this was going to be Keselowski's race to win. But then you saw Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, and his teammates fall back. And then you see somehow Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman were able to stay with each other towards the end of the race. And that eventually ended up happening to with the final lap, Chase Elliott made the winning move on the inside, being pushed by Alex Bowman. Chase Elliott would take the lead, and Keselowski, of course, would not get pushed by Chase Elliott's teammate. And Chase Elliott, at his home track, and my favorite driver, won his first race in 44 races. And it felt so darn good. The Chase Elliott win for me was kind of emotional for me, and probably for everybody else that are Chase Elliott fans, because how he's been running in his Gen 7 car, you never know when he'll win another race, because he's not as dominant as he used to be in this different type of car. But man, Saturday night was amazing. Not just an emotional win for me, but of course emotional win for Chase Elliott and for everybody else there. And here's the cool thing about his car that was designed. It was designed by an 11-year-old cancer patient that won in a contest to get their scheme on Chase Elliott's car, and Chase Elliott won the race, and that cancer patient was able to be there to celebrate. So that was a pretty cool moment for Chase Elliott and all his fans there. P.S. I already ordered the race win diecast off of Lion now. Go get it. And here's a look at the point standings as now Chase Elliott is locked into the playoffs. I doubt if we're going to get any more winners. I'd bounce some drivers out, so I think it's more than likely Chase Elliott's a lock in the playoffs. And also, he is second place in the regular season standings. That could be an additional playoff points if he can finish in the top 3 in the playoff standings. So, and then you can look around the bubble. Alex Bowman extends his lead on the bubble, and now Bubba Wallace is the last driver on the bubble that could get eliminated, and Priest is the one looking in. Alright, that's all for the post-race report. Now it is time for my interview. As today, I'll be interviewing yet another NASCAR fan. His name's Bennett Allen. I know him pretty well from some NASCAR group chats, and he's a very enthusiastic NASCAR fan, and here he is. Third episode of the Double D podcast. Bennett, introduce yourselves to the audience.
Yeah, my name's Bennett Allen. I'm they call a patient care tech at a hospital, but I'm a huge avid NASCAR fan. Been watching NASCAR since I was a little kid, about since I was born, and been to a couple races in my lifetime. I'm a bit sim racer. I race on all the NASCAR stuff on Iracing weekly, and that weekly the league races. Just love the sport, love racing, love motorsport. Happy to be on a podcast for once in my life. It's great.
All right, yeah. Thanks for joining, of course. So I heard that you're like a sim racer around there. I guess you do like iRacing and other things like that.
Yeah, I race almost every sim racing thing under the sun. I'm not strictly on like NASCAR stuff. I do GT racing, open wheel IndyCar stuff. I like to stick around the NASCAR stuff. It's my bread and butter. But I'm really, really good. I'm probably in the top 5% of like NASCAR road course racing iRacers. I'm pretty darn good at slinging a stock car around a road course, and I'm pretty good at the short tracks too. Intermediate is just it's a thing. And super speedways is literally just a luck of the draw because everyone wants to be Dale Jr. So
neat. Sounds like you're the Tony Stewart of iRacing.
I can be, yeah. I enjoy it though. It's a lot of fun. I'm currently on a suspension right now, so I've been dealing with that. Yeah. iRacing is pretty strict on intentional wrecking, so I gave somebody a bump under yellow, and I got suspended for it. It's crap,
interesting. Right. So iRacing is kind of like the FIA in a way.
Yeah, but instead of time penalties, you get disqualified and get a week suspension for most things you do. So, but iRacing is a lot of fun. It's worth the money. You need good equipment to do it, but like I've been racing on it for 2025, so I've been on it for 5 years now, and I've built friendships that will last a lifetime. And I'm in leagues that run Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and now I'm in 3 more leagues that run Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So anytime, like at night, I'm pretty much filled up with league racing, and it's a lot of fun. I race primarily the Xfinity and trucks. I'm in 100% like length cup league, and I'm in an ARCA league now. There's a new Gen 4 league that just started up I'm a part of now, and that's a lot of fun with the new Gen 4 cars and iRacing. And now I'm in a endurance league for Friday nights. So I'm pretty booked up for when I get unsuspended, and it's just part of the fun. The NASCAR official iRacing official racing is kind of annoying because you're racing against real people that sometimes don't care and treat it like it's NASCAR E5, which it's not. And but when you do league racing, you can get a really good group of people, and you will have the most fun racing, most competitive fun racing that you've ever seen and had been a part of. And, my leagues try to make it to where it's like a real NASCAR weekend in practice, qualifying, and then right into the race. They're broadcasted leagues, so you're kind of right in it. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Amazing. So it looks like you're getting a lot of experience, of course, being booked up this much with iRacing. What would you say would be the most difficult car you've driven in iRacing?
That's a good question. When the next gen car first came out, I hated it. It just didn't feel like the Gen 6 car, and it was different. And, iRacing started working on the aero model, and so dirty air was a real thing, and it is, and it's just hard to deal with. And it was just snappy loose on the corner exit, and that was really hard. But now, like currently, the hardest car to drive, in my opinion, would probably be the Indy car. To be honest, all the NASCARs, once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. I do open setup, so like I like my setup more on the looser side. I don't mind it being like crazy loose, but like all the thing in iRacing is you want to save your tires, because the tire model is not like a real life. Like real life, yeah, you want to save your tires, but the fall off isn't like it is in like iRacing, and so like it all tire management stuff. And it's kind of annoying. But the Indy car is just hard to drive. Like it's all, like on ovals, it's all like aero, getting clean air, trying to get a run, but you get really tight really fast. And then at road courses, it's all about managing your rear tires, not trying to overheat the rears, because like in like road course racing, Indy car is all about that corner exit. Corner entry, just don't overdrive corner entry, but you want to get the drive off. You want to get the power down the corner exit. And if you can't do that, you're not going to have fast lap time. Like my favorite track for the IndyCar side is Portland, because it's just fun. And the back half of that racetrack is so fast. You can just send the car in and get it sideways without losing a lot of time. That's kind of hard to do in IndyCar, so it just makes it fun.
Yeah, great detailed info. What I pretty much see on social media, I see some people say that the Gen 4 is like the worst with the handling part. But now I can see your opinion about IndyCar and how it is difficult, because, of course, you can see, watch them in real life. If you accidentally get into marbles by just a little bit, or you get behind someone, that could be your race done.
Yeah, 100%. It's fun that iRacing's that accurate. And like cold tires now are cold. Like before, you could fire off and have a lot of grip, but the newest update, you fire off and you could wreck in that first lap easily with like little to no input. And that's realistic, like it's just crazy and it's fun. And trying to figure out the detail of trying to warm up your tires, but not like overheat them to where now you're slipping and sliding all over the place. It's just battling all that. You kind of feel like you're actually in the car. And for iRacing, that's all I want in life, is just to be able to feel like I'm actually driving an IndyCar or in the Cup Series. It's just a lot of fun to be a part of.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I'll eventually have to get iRacing, and of course, everybody, stay tuned. You'll see a video when I upload it when I got iRacing finally. Okay, so now to the NASCAR side. As you were growing up, who were your favorite NASCAR drivers, and who is your favorite NASCAR driver in the present?
When I was a kid, I started watching NASCAR basically from the second I was born. And I went to my first NASCAR race in 2007. I went to this 2007 Bank of America 500, and Jeff Gordon won that race. So I took on the Jeff Gordon fandom, and then he retired in 2015. I cried, as one does when he's 10 years old, and I started cheering for Chase Elliott a little bit, and I was just a 24 stand for the longest time. So Chase Elliott went to the 9, cheered for William Byron, and I just kind of fell off because William Byron didn't win for a while. I think his first one was like
Daytona 2020.
Yeah, and so I started progressing to try to find something new, and I found Bubba Wallace when he raced at Richard Petty, and I fell in love with his personality. I fell in love with him. Like, he just was seemed like a really good guy who was trying to make it, and he finally did. And in 2021, when he went to 2011, I was really happy. He won his first race at Talladega that year. I had my AirPod in, playing, like I was at basketball practice when it happened on that Monday, or like it was a Sunday afternoon. I don't remember what day it was, but I remember I was playing basketball. I was at basketball practice, and I was so happy that he won. And when he won in Kansas, I guess 2022, I was really happy. And yeah, I've just been a Bubba Wallace fan since about 2019, 2020, and I don't care what anybody says about him. I know that in his heart of hearts, he's a really great guy. I've met him in person, and he's an even cooler person, in person, than he is as a personality on the track. And he's almost the same. And that's what all I could ask for is a person that doesn't build themselves up as a famous person, because he doesn't do that. And it's just really refreshing to me.
Pretty neat. You got that opinion about him. And it's interesting to know that too, that you stuck with the 24 even after Chase Elliott left. You didn't go with him. You just stayed with like whoever was driving the 24, which is William Byron now. Whenever I was a Jeff Gordon fan, kind of like you, and I just still kept rooting for Chase Elliott. It was just something about him. I think whenever it was like 2017, there was just, he'd come so close to winning so many times, and it would get annoying, but then you would see like the fire in him. He would try harder and harder each race. And then eventually when it got to 2018, where he barely beat Mark Truex Jr. on fuel mileage and got pushed by Jimmy Johnson there at the end, I will always remember that. And that's why I'm still a fan of Elliott to this day. But yeah, good story about him, and good story about Bubba Wallace too. Okay, so our previous conversations that we've had about the recent Atlanta race coming up, I heard that you were in attendance, and I bet it was a pretty huge atmosphere. Take me through your experience, and how did the race go, and how was the fans hyped about it?
It was hot. I got out of my car and I immediately started to sweat. But I went to Atlanta once when I was a kid, like a small child. I think it was 2012, so I would have been 7 years old. And I went to an Atlanta truck race. So this is my second time going to Atlanta. But it was packed. The atmosphere was like anything I've ever experienced. I mean, even with the lightning delay, when they said the lightning delay was lifted, the crowd went crazy. And usually when I go to NASCAR races, I buy a cheap seat and just sit wherever I want. They don't really check. And I couldn't do that this time. All the seats were filled up, shoulder to shoulder, which I haven't seen in a NASCAR race before since I've been alive. And it felt like a NASCAR race should feel like. It was hot. Everybody was just ready to watch these cars just go at it. And I don't even know how to explain what I saw. It's been a full day, and I still don't know how to explain what I saw. If anybody who's ever been to a NASCAR race, before the Gen 7 car, or before the high horsepower, low horsepower, high downforce car in the Gen 6, this is what a NASCAR race was supposed to feel like, and it is supposed to feel like. The words can't describe the atmosphere. It's one of those you just had to be there kind of feelings. It felt like old NASCAR, and the race looked like old super speedway racing, and it was loud, it was fast, it was chaotic. I saw the biggest wreck I've ever seen in my life, on TV or off TV, since the 2012 or 2011 Daytona or Talladega wreck, or Tony Stewart almost flipped over. 2012, right? I think that's what my memory serves me correct.
Matt Kenseth won that race in its pink scheme. That's how I remember.
Jeff Gordon finished second. That was the biggest wreck I've seen since then, and I got to see that in person. And we had seats up top under the overhang at first. My brother really wanted to go down to the front. We did. And for the last 75 laps, we sat right next to the start-finish line. And that's something that you just have to experience. Being right there as a whole field of cars. Granted, there's only about 30 cars on track this time, but still, basically a full field of cars going by you at 175 miles per hour is incredible. And I just still can't believe what I saw. That was the pinnacle of what NASCAR is and should be. And it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people complained about whenever they reconfigured Atlanta about being a restrictor plate tractor, being like, wow, they're trying to make NASCAR into this wild card sport. But if you notice the past couple of years, there's been a lot of people camping out there in Atlanta trying to be out there and having a good time over there, just watching how the racing has improved over there. And that leads me to this question about Atlanta. Which layout do you think is better, the old layout or the new layout?
I don't think either is better than the other. I think they're two totally different things that you can't compare. I like the idea of New Atlanta, but the OG NASCAR fan in me is like, I miss the old Atlanta, you know? Mm-hmm. It was a worn out surface. It was bumpy. Yeah, it was kind of single lane at the end of its life, but it was a driver's racetrack. You had to be able to wheel the car to be able to go fast. You had to be a driver. And that's what I miss about it. You had to show skill. The only other racetrack on the schedule now that I think is close to that, maybe Darlington, because it's an old surface.
Yep.
But Darlington's is also its own thing. There's no track on the schedule that's like Darlington. So, like, Atlanta was like the last of its kind, because like the way Texas is now is just a crappy intermediate with a flat corner that's 20 lanes wide that doesn't deserve to be there, you know? So I miss old Atlanta, but also the racing product we've gotten in New Atlanta since its birth has been incredible. Like, it's what we think drafting racetracks should be. And the older it gets, the more it's going to be like that. But my biggest fear is that as it gets older, they might transition back to the intermediate package, and it's just going to be a wide open snooze fest. Because eventually it's going to get old enough to where they're not going to be able to do what they're doing now with the super speedway package. And, you know, I race with like real NASCAR drivers on Iracing. I'm kind of friends with Parker Retzlaff. I've talked to Carson Hocevar before.
That's great.
And they all say like that they think Atlanta is going to go back to kind of what it was, just with more banking. And who knows what the racing product is going to look like when that happens. So that's what I'm nervous for. Like, is this the glory days of repaved Atlanta, or is it going to be like this forever, you know? So I'm curious to see what it looks like in 5 years even, or maybe even 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched a couple of NASCAR YouTubers about Atlanta, one of them being Eric Estep. He mentioned that Atlanta's starting to look better than Daytona and Talladega now because of how there's so much passing, there's so much cars generating runs, where at Daytona and Talladega it's more based off of fuel mileage and if you get the right push at the right time, which I see his point there, which I know Daytona will have the history and the prestige, but it seems like Atlanta is starting to take over the racing, the best racing part.
The racing part of Atlanta is crazy. Like, being there in person, like, one of the things I like about going to NASCAR races is that you can watch whatever battle you want to watch. But at these, like, super speedway type races, your eyes automatically go to the front. But the thing was, I was seeing back marker drivers, typically like Ty Dillon, or even some of the, like, Spire guys. Like, the Spire, they're more up front this year than they have been. But, like, in years past, we've seen them as more of, like, back marker guys. And, like, Zane Smith, he was up front at the end. I didn't expect that. And when he got to the front, everybody around in my section looked at each other and went, where did he come from, you know? And so, like, it's just interesting that, like, people in the back can drive. And the coolest thing about that is that you could see it. Like, they're P12, they're P10. And then they just send it on the bottom, and they'll gain, like 5, 6 spots on the bottom by themselves, no help. Like, what other racetrack can we say that we can see stuff like that? Not Daytona, not Talladega, not any of the other intermediates, not even Kansas. Like, it's its own thing, and it's beautiful. It's like amazing. It's fun. It's what we need. Like, exactly. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever they switch that old layout that Texas had and they made it to the new one's definitely not good at all. But the old one, they should have kept it that way because I thought the racing was best there. But who knows? Maybe they can make it to just like Atlanta. I wouldn't mind that over what they got now. But as a Chase Elliott fan, I must ask you this question. How loud did the crowd actually get whenever he won that race?
Oh, again, that's another thing that words can't describe. That was the most, like, it wasn't like a motorsports moment. It was a sports moment. It's like, you know, Game 7 of the NBA Finals when the OKC Thunder finally won. It was that loud, and I could hear the crowd over the race cars going by. It was insane, and everybody was cheering, and like everyone was happy, because he's hometown, it's home state, home racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen so many Chase Elliott fans in my life, but also I've never been more proud of being a NASCAR fan in my life. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Chase Elliott anymore. I used to like him back in the day, but like now, I like kind of like guys with personality, and he's kind of monotone. Yeah. But like, I was happy to see Chase win because I got to experience what it was like at the racetrack when Chase Elliott won. Like, his home racetrack when it was amazing. It was the coolest experience of my life that I've ever been to, besides when I went to Detroit Lionsgate, which is a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, definitely.
But still.
Yeah, I mean, I if you saw my reaction video on YouTube, I was going insane watching it on TV. And I'm pretty sure I'd probably lost my voice if I was actually there at the track. But, what else was I thinking about? Oh, yeah. So, the in-season bracket. So, I set up the in-season bracket, and, of course, all of ours were probably thrown in the dumpster, and I'm sure yours were, too. How is it doing, by the way?
It's busted. It's darn been busted. I think I had every JGR car advancing in their group, and none of them. Everybody but Ty Gibbs got eliminated.
Yeah. It's just insane the unpredictability they had to start at Atlanta, which might have been why NASCAR had it that way. They didn't want to give anybody $1 million.
It was a great idea. That was a really good play to have Atlanta the first race.
Yeah. And if you saw my prediction bracket, I had Chase Elliott winning the whole thing based off of his consistency. Not that he can't really get wins and stuff, but just based off of his consistency. But a win did pay off here. And I'd say most of the drivers are in the bracket now are kind of like underdogs. So this is Chase Elliott's advantage here, I believe.
Oh, 100%. And we're going to a street course, but a road course. We know Chase Elliott, he'll probably finish in the top 10, maybe the top 5. And he could carry momentum going into this weekend. So
I mean, we got the street race coming up. We got Sonoma. You got Dover, which he's won at before. And then the Brickyard.
Oh, the Brickyard. I love the Brickyard.
Oh, yes. Okay, so more NASCAR news I want to talk about. This is kind of like an off-topic thing of like the recent news of like Atlanta this week, but this was a little bit before that. So, former Spire co-owner, TJ Pusher, I think that's how you say his name, he bought Ware Racing, and Cody Ware, they announced that he's going to be back in with the team. Do you think potentially that team will improve, or do you think it'll kind of be like the same way for the next few years?
RWR is not doing bad this year. If you look at their numbers, Cody Ware, their whole goal with him was for him to be consistent, and he's doing that. I listen to Door Bumper Clear every week, and Tommy Baldwin is he's a mentor to Cody Ware right now, and he's singing praises about him and his mindset.
Oh.
In terms of RWR overall speed, I could see them running in the top 15 more, maybe. If Cody Ware keeps doing what he's doing, he could be a sleeper pick to win at a super speedway. So, I mean, he was up there. He was in the main pack at the end of that race, and he got involved in the big one. So I wouldn't count him out as being like a sleeper pick for Daytona. Like, imagine him stealing a playoff spot for winning at Daytona.
Kind of like Harrison Burton did last year.
Yeah, but Cody Ware's not a bad race car driver. He's consistent. And if I'm a team owner, like, yes, wins are great, but when I'm a back marker team owner, all I want is somebody that doesn't wreck my race car,
Good point.
He's getting the job done.
Yeah, and with those type of drivers, you have like the worst equipment, and your goal is just to finish the race. Don't wreck the equipment where you can just put the team in a bigger financial hole.
I think he finished in the top 15 on Sunday.
He did. I think he finished 12th or 13th. It was right behind Connor Zillage in the 87, which is another rookie coming up. I'm liking this Connor Zillage. He's looking good. He's been winning races in the Xfinity Series, and he's making good charges to the lead on his debuts.
Yeah. I'll put a pin in the Connor Zillage situation. I want to see more of him on the Cup side. I don't know how he's going to be with the Cup car, but from the Xfinity side, he's almost an unstoppable force at road courses. He's running top 5, top 10 at ovals. He just can't finish the job. And him winning at Pocono, yes, Pocono's technically an oval, but it's also its own thing. So I want to see him win at a legitimate short track, which he's been up front. He just can't finish the race. So I just want to see a little bit more consistency out of the 88 group before I say yes, he deserves a Cup ride, because I'm not quite there yet.
Right. So this takes me to, so we'll put Atlanta back in the past now. So we're going to be looking at this weekend. The Chicago Street Race could be the last Chicago Street Race unless it gets renewed next year or whatever. But the Chicago Street Race is coming up. SVG's been really good there. Almost, in my opinion, I think he would have won last year, but he got crashed out, and Alex Bowman ended up taking the win because it got short on time. But what do you think's going to happen this weekend at the Chicago Street Race? What do you think's going to happen there?
From what I know, it's supposed to rain again.
Yikes.
So
it's always gotten rain out around that same time during the year.
Yeah, it's a Chicago thing. Chicago's like the windy city, right? But it's also rainy. Yeah. I've been there. Let me get off these weird humps on the road. Straddle them. There you go. I don't know. I think SVG is going to win again. That's going to be win number 2 for him this year, and I think it's going to set him up a little bit more in the playoff grid. If it rains, he's definitely going to win because he's kind of used to those conditions with racing the supercars in Australia, which it rains a lot down there too. But if it somehow stays dry, it could be a really, really good race, I think. And we haven't really seen the street course in all its glory yet. We haven't seen it on a hot summer day. We've only seen it when it's damp and disgusting. And Kyle Larson going mock Jesus into the turn 6 wall.
And Noah Gregson crashing so many times.
Yes, the Baconator man himself crashing into the wall. That was a funny day.
Yeah. Well, there was one race where it was dry. It was the Xfinity race last year. It was like a duel between Larson and SVG, and man, that race was enjoyable. That showed what a race could be if it was dry at the Chicago Street Race.
That's what I'm saying. It's good. Street races are good no matter what car you put on the racetrack. So, who knows? I don't know. I just want to see a legitimate dry race, but I don't think we are. Yeah. But I don't know. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. Another race related to Chicago, Chicagoland Speedway. I just watched a video from Carson Hocevar a few days ago. He was going through the abandoned part of Chicagoland Speedway with all looks like grass everywhere and stuff. Doesn't look like it's in completely bad shape, but it's starting to get there. Do you think it's possible that NASCAR could bring back Chicagoland in the next couple of years?
It's rumored that they're going back next year, so yeah, 100%. And it is going to be a banger of a racetrack in the next-gen car. I've done it in Iracing. It's fun. It's like Kansas, but on steroids. So it's going to be, if they go there, it's going to be worth getting it cleaned up, I think.
Yeah, and it's not in that bad condition, so I believe they should go for it. Which I do kind of like the Chicago Street Race, but during that time, it always rains there. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if NASCAR tried looking somewhere else to put a different street race somewhere else.
I agree. Along the rumor mill, I've heard rumors of San Diego is in the market because we need another market for SoCal. Since
I would like that.
No more. I lived in San Diego for a time. I don't know where they're going to put the street course, but they'll figure out. I've heard stuff about kind of maybe Detroit too. We can do the Detroit street course. Baltimore, I heard Pittsburgh's opportunity as well. So, as far as I know, rumor mill wise, is San Diego's the main place. But I also heard via the Door Bumper Clear podcast that saying that San Diego is going to be on the schedule next year could be a decoy for something bigger. So, everyone's thinking San Diego, but maybe it's somewhere different, another foreign race, which I'm 100% for. So who knows? I want another street course race because it fits the sport, I think, and it's really cool. but how many more dates are we going to take away from tracks, you know?
Yeah. Well, I agree with like more of the street courses thing because I think it attracts more of the fans on the outside, like the F1 fans and the IndyCar fans, and it shows that NASCAR not only they don't just like race on ovals and like road courses, they can also tackle street courses like other vehicles.
Telling you, it fits the stock car motto. Like, what can a stock car do? Well, we drive on roads in a stock car.
All right, so this is my final question of the podcast, and this is the final question I have traditionally for all NASCAR fans. What is your favorite 124 or 164 diecast that you own?
Well, I don't own a lot of 124s, but I have the race to win Bubba Wallace diecast from when I went at Kansas, and I have it signed by him. Ooh. So that's the coolest 124 I have. My favorite 164. Oh, I have so many of those. I have so many. Do you remember Jeff Gordon's like 2008, 2009 green Flames car? Like he absolutely
was that like a Nicorette paint scheme, something like that?
A what?
Was that like a Nicorette paint scheme?
I don't remember. It was green. It was all green, lime green, and he wrecked very, very hard at Las Vegas off the nose of Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, I vividly remember that. I don't remember it that well, but we'll probably figure out the scheme you're talking about eventually.
That's my favorite one that I own. That's really cool. I have a lot. I have an unopened box of a Dale Senior one. I have a bunch, but that's my favorite one because it's Jeff Gordon and it's green, which is my favorite color.
Yeah, and don't worry, guys. I'll figure it out because I'll upload like the photos of like the diecast from Bennett as well. So, okay, that is the end of the interview. That was a great in-depth conversation, Bennett, about all like your iRacing experiences and your experience at the track the other day, which it took me in the mind of like another NASCAR fan. It was certainly a great conversation to have, and hope you'll be interested in joining back on the podcast again one day. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, man, it was fun. I like doing podcasts now. It's going to be my thing.
All right. So, yeah, you have a nice night.
You as well, bro. Appreciate you.
Okay. Now, I'd have to say, that was a great interview with Bennett. So now, on to the Chicago Street Race predictions. And you probably heard what I predicted in the podcast with Bennett. I think SVG is going to win easily. He's won there on his debut. He was going to win there last year, but he got taken out by Chase Briscoe in the rainy race. But definitely think SVG is going to win. It's going to help his run into playoffs, trying to get the playoff points. So, and that is it for the podcast. Be back next week around this time, and I hope you guys have a nice night.